Good evening, people that like to catch fishes and, in particular, drop shot. But, to everybody that fishes, I'm going to do a small video. For me, small is basically under an hour. I'm not going to be that long with this. This is kind of an addendum to my drop shot concepts of a redneck 1 and 2. Haven't really modified anything, but I now have quite the arsenal at my disposal, so to speak. In fact, of my less expensive baits, I have them up in my cupboard on my desk here. But what I have now is I believe it's an 8x10 Cabela's pack. I got extra sleeves. They're actually bigger than this. They're for the 12, but I can still store stuff in them, keep them in my other fishing bag. And now, instead of having them in Ziploc bags everywhere, I can actually have them organized. So I have, it's really full, and I need to reorganize and kind of stow some stuff, but it's a really good system, actually. You just can't overload it like I have. Well, you really shouldn't. You can. You really shouldn't. And I need to find the splitter. So I'm going to put all this stuff back in when I'm done. And I'm going to do all this for display purposes, really. And putting it back together is going to be interesting, that's for sure. Okay. Now I need the light. Aha! Okay. And I'm really not too concerned about putting them back in any particular order as long as I have the categories separated. So I'm just kind of willy-nilly pulling them out. Like I said, I've got lots of different categories still stored. These are the primary ones that I have, including some vintage Berkeley that are not made anymore, which is the first one I'm going to discuss while I put this back. But before I get into that, I am going to talk hooks. So, when it's all said and done, it's still not the most compact thing in the world. I just really got tired of overstuffing my flambeau pack with all these Ziploc bags full of just random shit and having to look through them on the boat. I just got flat sick of it. So I finally had some extra money besides extra money, and I said, fuck it. So there I go. So I have a bunch of stuff to discuss bait-wise, including the front runner, which is going to be there. First, I'm going to talk hooks. Now, already in my videos, and if you want the backstory, watch Dropshot Concepts of a Redneck Part 1 and 2. You can type that directly into YouTube. It'll take you right to those two videos from me. There's a ton of fishing videos on my channel, by the way, but those two are pertinent to this video. So when I'm going for like really super finesse, lightweight, 1/16 of an ounce shot weight max, I use Mutus. I have owner number 6s, and I get 90% of my stuff anymore on eBay. It's just simpler. And the thing with the Mutu is, the reason I use these for my really sensitive small ones is that deep curve that I've explained in past videos. This is a number 6, but it's got this high back. So what it allows it to do is sit in an in-between point. So when a fish comes and grabs over it like this, they're literally going to have no choice but to be having the hook all up in their jaw. So it lends itself really good to that. These also work really good if you snell them and put a number 5 up to a number 9 split shot about 2 foot up the line, throw it behind your boat about 40 feet, and put your trolling motor on one and troll a big ass fathead minnow. These are badass for that because those bass and the crappie will come up and get right on it. So these are really, really good light wire, high hookup ratio for super finesse. Now, what I do is about 3 foot up the line, I put a size 10, I believe, barrel swivel rated for 70 pounds. Put it up ahead of time, and then I do the pro knot, and I'm going to actually show you that as I'm sitting here because I've got plenty of line. I got master spools going on, and I'm going to show you with 8 pounds Scissor hybrid. So essentially what it amounts to is you're going to push the line through the eyelet through the top like you normally would, okay, and take a fair amount of it, and realize you're having this at the other sides to the rod. You're going to make a loop with the tag inside, and you're going to line it up with the hook. Now here's where it kind of gets tricky for a little bit anyway. It's just kind of sitting there loose, so you've got to really hold these good. And either, if you're really good, I've seen some people swing these. I just don't have that much talent. I don't feel my fingers very well. I still don't have feeling back in my fingers. I'm starting to get a little, so I will start it with a couple of turns, and after a couple of turns, it'll start to have kind of like one of those double blood knots. It'll look like that a little bit. It's a little bit getting used to. I will take it sometimes as many as 8 times. They say 4 to 6 max. I like to have a really good bunch up on both sides of my knot. So it will come out and it will be what I would call a double helix. At that point it will sit and you'll edge it a little bit. The whole saliva thing, inch it down. Try not to get your lips in there, and you're just going to keep cinching. You'll get to the end and pull quick. And you see I got my saliva all over it. It's important because if you're using fluorocarbon like I do, it's really vastly important. And you're going to hold on to both sides, and you're really going to cinch it. Really pull on it, okay? And what this does, it gets the bunch up on both sides, like so. Really, really strong. It's behind the head of the hook. It orients it perfectly straight. These Mutus have a natural kind of a curl. You see it's off to the side, which lends itself to turning and getting in the upper lip. If you want to have added pull down and you're using a heavier weight, like a 1/8, 1/4, 3/16, 5/16, you can put it through again through the top and pull it and cinch it tight for another level. But this is pretty damn good the way it is. I can sit here right now and take this one and consider it rigged and put a swivel on this and a drop shot, but do it on my slip bobber for minnows for crappie. So the size 6 Mutu is great for this. It's the only hook that I use when I use a swivel to a hook on the line. Other than that, my hooks are completely different. So I'm actually going to keep this in my little bin of goodies that I have. And if you get a pack, I got this in a quantity of 57 for, I think it was like $12 on eBay. The seller didn't care. Seller was making money. Seller said, hey, guess what? I got a deal going on. So that's the Moon 2s. I keep multiple things in this small pack of mine because I do multiple types of fishing. But I even, if I go heavy pyramid weight and 12 to 14 inch slip bobber for catfish, I will drop shot configuration with that pyramid weight 1-2 ounce and have a 1/0 to 3/0 demon circle bait hook. It's drop shot, it's just drop shot on a slip bobber, but it's the big cigar ones and they don't go down without a fight. They are very buoyant. And in the world of spin shots, I primarily use size 1, and they all have that trademark thing. You know, those other companies that have kind of come into their own with those. Another one I'm getting to in a minute. But there's just not a lot that I trust. There's a couple of people that hand make them. I don't like them. They're just too heavy wired for me. And then I have size, well, they're gotta be around here somewhere. Okay. Ah, there they are. Miscellaneous side. Size stuck together. Size 4, size 6, and if I'm getting really small split shots for panfish, size 8. And the reason I use spin shots is because they are on a swivel. I can use a swivel with them or not and have double anti-line twist capability. I typically just use them by themselves on drop shot, and they never fail me. The knot that I typically use is what I call a twin loop simple cinch. It's basically a half of a trilene knot with 2 tag-in loops through before I make the knot. So I'm going through the front or the back depending on the application, 2 times through, wrap it 7 times, pull it through itself, liquefy the hell out of it, pull it down, and it's one of the strongest knots I've ever used. The other one I just showed you was called a Dropshot Pro knot, and I will also do Snell knots on live bait hooks. Do not use a Palomar. I hate tying the fucking thing. No thanks. The other brand that I use, even though it's kind of heavy duty for me, see if I can get an example out because they're all done together. This is a 1/0 Mizuno spinner, and it's got 2 independent swivels, so it's got a range of motion that's different. It's even got the beads in between, which actually makes sound when things are moving around. It's got a really generous curve to it, but it's an actual curve, so the bait sits on a little bit different. That's a 1/0. And for my creature type baits that I drop shot, yes you can, I have the 2s, and it's nose hook, so they're sitting there kind of like this, so when you're bumping they start doing that. And if you really want them to float, you can syringe fill them with air, and they'll pop back up in that classic protective stance that crawdads do. And that's kind of the basic hooks that I use. It's mostly spin shot and Moo 2s, but I use these Mizunos with heavier worms, which you'll see in a minute. Okay, so the first ones I wanted to show you on purpose is because they're vintage and Berkeley does not make them anymore, and they have stated they do not know if they ever will, and these are very vintage. So I have 2-inch and 3-inch black Berkeley leeches. They are stinky as hell. And I have them in flat black, and I have them in that pumpkin seed in 2 and 3 as well. Now, these can work good in 2 ways. They work really, really good on suspended fish when they're dead stick, because any motion in the water makes them move. It's a way to really get an active suspending fish to say fuck you and bite it, basically. So, excuse my language, but it's the truth. I found them on eBay, and you still can. And I think there was 47 total I had, and it was like $30. And because it was vintage and I knew what they were, because I mean these are like from way back in the day. This is only a third of what I have of these, by the way. I just jumped on it. I had to. Oh, I'm not done with this pack. The other thing that I got on eBay, and I don't remember where they're made. I know they're US made. I got these, I think they're 3.5-inch sculpin imitations. And let me tell you something. They're a heavy, soft plastic. But these, in the rocks, kill it with smallies and largemouth. And I just ruined one. I have a tendency to vacuum seal my bags a little too tight sometimes. I don't know, I guess I'm trying to save space. I'm kind of OCD sometimes. So, essentially what they are is the big head like they have, and then the tail, and they're ribbed really well, and then they have the fins. I've actually got to kind of throw a lighter on this one for a couple seconds to loosen the legs back up, but they're always in constant motion, always. I have gotten some massive hits from largemouth with these on a nose hook, and this beak, it's really good for a size 1, really, as small as it is. So that's another one I have in that part of the pack. I always have them on hand. A lot of that has to do with watching sonar on the boat, because we're on my friend's boat most of the time we're fishing, and he's upgraded really great with some hummingbirds, so we can spot some pretty detailed stuff now. So I always have these in my pack. I always have leeches. If you go and buy real ones, trust me, they work. Not the easiest thing to find in Arizona. There are some places that retail them. They're kind of expensive, so I have these. I go on to, excuse me, I made a mistake tonight. I decided that I was going to take Korean red Thai pepper and plum sweet barbecue sauce, mix it with ketchup for my fries from Wendy's, and I had a chipotle and jalapeno chicken sandwich to top it off. To say that my stomach is on fire is a really big understatement. So if I burp every now and then, excuse me. In this pack, and I have them kind of loosely categorized by what they do. DL Alvis, a friend of mine on Facebook, made these leech imitations. He's got his own molds, and he doesn't do it for profit. He just does them because he likes to use them, and he was gracious enough to bring me some. And you know, I'll hand trim them from time to time because they're unique in that they pour a certain way. Some are really straight, some have kind of a curve to them, but they have that little ridge. They have a lot of flake in them, so they shine really good in the water, so there's that speckle that attracts fish. I've gotten really hammered. I've even gotten red ear and bluegill on these, and they are 3-inch. So that's in my little like ultra finesse that I would use a size 6 or a size 4 on. It's one of them. I also have I really wish I could remember. Excuse me. Yeah, I really wish I could remember the brand. It's yeah, okay. These are Roboworm. They're shad series, shad imitations, and I've got one in the. It's some type of blue-black eel pattern that's got some funky name to it, and then I've got it in like the gray and root beer, more of a rock bass color. But they both imitate shad minnows, that type of thing. I have Witch's Brew Tournament Strong Slammers. These are 3-inch as well. These are a super finesse jig head and drop shot bait. I would not recommend going over a size 6 ever on these. So they have the curved top and the flat bottom, and they go from the lighter to the dark on the top. I do nose hook them. They have a lot of motion. You sit them in the water, don't even move them, and they move like that in the water. It's ridiculous. They're like super stinky until they get in the water, but the water kind of washes that away to a point. So sometimes I'll take, if I'm going to take them out, if I have hand sanitizer with me or a towel, I'll wipe them down real quick. Sometimes I'll put them in the water and wipe them in a towel, just to kind of get the color or the smell a little bit off. I also have them in peanut butter grape. Now they're called slammers because they get slammed. There are a lot of panfish in rocks like Bartlett, Roosevelt, Saguaro, Apache, Canyon, Havasu, Mead. All these ones that have a lot of rock, they will pound these slammers. Smallmouth especially on the Colorado. But these are, they go to purple to the brown on the bottom. That's a peanut butter and jelly classic color. Same action. I used to never use purple. I thought it was a ridiculous color. I refused to use it. And then I found out from other people, and I still didn't believe it. They're like, dude, you've got to try it. You don't understand. These things get hammered in this color. And I thought it was stupid. I thought it was bullshit until I finally tried purple. Oh, I'm a believer now. So, peanut butter and jelly, especially on the local ponds, good God, does it get hit. No matter what bait it is, man. No matter what bait it is, man, you got purple and brown in it. Holy shit. Then I have Bass Pro Shops Zoom 3-inch sticks in the kind of a charcoal shad flake. These can be put on the size 1 or 1/0 wacky style, like some people do, or nose hook and work just fine. 1/16, 1/8, 1/4 ounce shaky or Ned head. They work. Oh, there's where the other half of that one. You're not in this video yet. And I have those in that color only right now. And then I have Yum brand 4-inch dinger. It says weightless, split shot rig, Texas rig, Carolina rig, Racky rig, jig head, or drop shot. These are fairly heavy. I've got these in that classic sparkle white that, you know, a lot of baitfish have really light bellies on them. And have them in what used to be in the 80s called motor oil, is now called pumpkin and green flake. So the Yum brand packages, they kind of bust up real quick. You gotta be real delicate opening them or they get destroyed. So, you know, here come along this. So that's that category. Just like the no action, no do. You create the action. I like to get kind of crazy with them because they just move a lot when you put something on them as far as motion. That's the newest, so I won't go there yet. That's new too. Okay, so Zoom has these Dropshot worms. They say they're super float, but they more suspend than they do float. They start to kind of go down a little bit after a while, but their plastic's very durable and they're heavy. But they move great in the water. And they are 7-inch, and I use them on the 2-aught. So what's unique about these and what I like is they're almost like a regular worm, but they've got that thump tail, almost like a rattlesnake has a rat on the back. So what this does for me is I take my 1/8 cylinder weight, I put it about 4 inches, 4 to 6 long below the hook, and I nose hook it. So what happens is it goes to the bottom like this, and then it taps on the bottom. So if I'm just popping it in place and going really slow, it hits the sediment on the bottom and kicks it up. So it looks like a crawdad or something on the bottom trying to feed, or like it's dying. Either way, it triggers stupid strikes, and they will wrap this whole thing in their mouth because they slam it so hard. You will get it on the hook. And these are the believe watermelon. They're not watermelon seed, they're just watermelon. Watermelon green, I'm sorry. I don't have the label with me. And then, dude, where's my car? And then I have Bray's Serious Baits go in 1 pack. Dennis Bingman, that does Bray's Serious Baits, has great plastics. I can never go wrong with them. In fact, I'm so close to being done with my pack of the 4-inch peanut butter and jelly. These are the brown bottom, but they're in a paddle tail. The thing with his baits is that they're soft, so even though they have great motion and they get bit, after a while you're going to have to replace them because they will come off otherwise. But that's part of the reason I like them. I have not had as good a reception on the regular green pumpkin red flake, even though it's a good color. I just really haven't gotten hit on it yet. And then I just got a little grab bag with his leech, his version of a leech. They do okay, I guess. But I love the motion that he has with his baits, so I always have his baits in here. They work really good on the local ponds, by the way. Bass and Dawson actually love them. And then, just cohabitating these together because I ran out of packs. But I also have a sandworm color kind of in that same 7-inch. It's got kind of a little bit of mocha brown striation to it. It can imitate any number of things. They kind of like this in clear water, so I got those. The thing with Zoom is that Zoom is really inexpensive, so if you're not afraid of an economy bait, Zoom all the way. And then new to me as of today, while I saw them on eBay, is a made in America by one man. The company is called Softy Lure, Softy. Secret Scent Live Action Super Float. They do float. These are 4.5 Dropshot King Finesse in Catawba Perch, which is actually a really pretty color. And haven't had yet to try them. I know that they'll work because they're right in that vein of what I do, but these ones are a little different, and they have that little fork tail at the back. And because he was really cool, he sent me a sample pack with blueback herring, Catawba perch, same color, copperhead, and pumpkin chartreuse. And the blueback herring kind of appeals to me because it looks kind of like kind of that all-around type of shad color that you would have. That blue, it's got blue with a speckle in it. I imagine in clear water these will kill. They've got the little fork tail, a little bit of added enticement, and they're a fairly stretchy version. So I'm gonna have patience. I'm gonna wait to do some of these until I'm back on the water on the boat. Unfortunately, couldn't do it today because my friend's boat had a breaky piece on it. It happens. It's a boat. Boats happen. But we had pretty decent success with what we did, so there's that. And the last one I have is my did I show everything? Yeah, it looks like I did. Okay. My Robo Worm pack has a couple of the 3-inch shad colors in it and a couple of the 4.5 finesse worms. I have the standard black and white or black and silver shad color. Aaron's Magic. Those things get hammered, by the way. If you got murky water, Aaron's Magic. It's got this blue, brown, green to it. That's just a stupid combination that works so good. Got Prism Shad. Really good. Like a basically baby rainbow trout color. I have Orange Crush, which has got that kind of accentuated brown with orange. And then of course the Oxblood. So that's that on that one. And I know there's one I'm missing. So there's one pack of brand new stuff. The other ones I showed you that he gave the gift pack, those were my other new ones from today that got delivered. And I'm really looking forward to these because they're really in that vein of the way I like to do things. Well, most of the stuff in this whole pack really do fall in my categories one way or another. If you're a drop shotter, if you're a finesse drop shotter, and you do not have either, and I don't have these yet because they didn't have them in Bass Pro, but Berkley has in their power bait line the water bug. Now the water bug is a 3.5 and 4-inch version. It's got a couple little legs that come off the front, and kind of like some of those smaller craws, the twin tail in the back with the flappers, but it floats. I cannot stress to you how much of a difference in the water a floating drop shot bait makes. It is massive. Unbelievable hookup ratio. So if you don't have those or Z-Man drop shot products, you're kind of missing out. So I picked up more, and they're made in the USA too. I've got excuse me, I do not have a yawn. I have Trick Shots Green Pumpkin Goby, which has a really good dark purple, blue, green sparkle to it. Absolutely gets vicious strikes. Absolutely gets vicious strikes. The other one that gets pretty vicious strikes is called Twilight, and it's got that purple to the blue, kind of translucent. Man, they see that from a mile away. Good God, do they hammer it. I'm telling you, all these things that I have in my pack I got because I watched extensive videos on YouTube, and I saw so many people with just this stupendous luck on these things, you know. And I said, you know, I've been drop shotting for a long time. It's one of my favorite techniques. I really need to get serious about some of the baits I have, because I was doing a lot of really cheap stuff. And one of the things that I used to do that I'm going to get back into is to make a wood carved mold where you melt down all of your old baits that you keep. Okay, you call a keep bucket. You get like a 1 gallon bucket and just fill it up with all these different plastic lures, melt it down, pour it in this mold. Whatever color comes out is what comes out. It makes some fish nuts because it's just a color they never see. So if you get a chance to carve one out, you should. So one of the baits that I've had good luck with in the past in other lines is missile baits, and also net bait. Their pocket chunks and their pocket juniors. Good lord, on a shaky head, man. So I got the bomb shot, and I got 2 colors. I've got what they call MM3, which is also in that purple vein of color, and it kind of goes to brown on the bottom, and they have a scent to them. They do impregnate them with this scent. I tried them briefly today. I didn't really have a lot of time for drop shot. They move really good in the water. And then this one's kind of obvious, so I'm not going to take it out. It's called Super Craw. Yeah, I'd say so. So, if you've watched my Dropshot Rednecks, Dropshot Concepts of a Redneck Part 1 and 2, you know that I go for as natural as possible. Well, that's basically why I made this pack the way I did. I'm going to be lucky if I get it back together again. But I got representations of any minnows, shad, gobies, craws. Oh, excuse me. Pretty much anything that any body of water and any water clarity is going to work. And then just, pure strike opportunities like these 7-inch. And when it comes to the hooks, I try to go as light as I can for the job that I'm doing technique wise. So I don't go over 2/0 in drop shot at all. There is one exception to that, and I don't have a rod for it right now. But if I do like a 1-ounce cylinder, I'll take a 3/0, 4/0 spin shot Texas rig style hook, which they do make them. I have them in my pack. Actually, I'm not sure what size these ones are. I don't remember. These are really good for drop shotting, up to like a 5-inch in weeds. As small and thin wire as it is, use a 1/2 to a 1-ounce weight to get them into the weeds, because this will keep it weedless. And they're full 360, so they work really good. But I try to stay as light as I can. The rod I have right now is a light 7'2" Powell Endurance drop shot rod. Has a real sensitive, fast tip and a lot of backbone. I have it to a 2500 Daiwa RG, and I have all Daiwa reels now, RG series and Revros series, and I have a Lexa 400 on my swim bait rod. I have had 0 failures with Daiwas, so that's how I go. And I love the Powell. It's 130 on sale. It was like typically 189 or something like that. It's a really good off-the-shelf custom rod, but I'm going to get another rod or two made by Ron Weber of Southwest Custom Rods. One of them is going to be a super ultralight in a 7'6" with a 2-piece, so I can pack it and get it on a plane. And the other one is going to be close to an 8-foot medium light fast tip drop shot style. All micro guides, by the way. I love micro guides. But I think I'm also going to talk to him about putting maybe 2 or 3 more eyelets, so that it gets more of an even pressure on the line when it's in a bend. And I think I might try to do that for both the panfish and that drop shot rod. Now, the reason I'm getting the ultralight done, the 7.6 2-piece, is because I want an even lighter ultralight than I already have that was made by him, with the traditional rings that slip over the reel instead of the thread downs. And it's only going to be from 1 to 3 pound fluorocarbon rating max. I have 2 pound ice line on it right now, which is fluorocarbon. It's going to be for 1/100th of an ounce all the way up to 1/16th and no more. So it should be interesting when I get that done. And that can also be used for like super ultralight panfish drop shot. And the other one will be that medium light drop shot style. So I have to wait till tax time. Unfortunately, I had to get my tags redone. I wanted to do the 2-year because it saved like $120 on each year. So I do as light and finesse as I can when it comes to drop shot, is what it comes down to. Real small drag, pop, some line, pop. Sometimes I'll just sit there and pop, real light, so it's just barely kicking sediment and moving very little. I've gotten thunderous strikes that way, from catfish no less too. The trick shots in the white shad. It's the not the clear one, but the white with the darker top along the shoreline. I kept getting channels paneling them because they thought I was an easy meal, but they work. They work great. So there you go.